clouds are finally gone and the sun is shining for some Sun Belt Conference basketball on ESPN+. The Marshall Thundering Herd taking on the Georgia Southern Eagles in Hanner Fieldhouse. Georgia Southern, they have hit a rough patch as of late, sitting at 3-5 in conference play so far. And Marshall, on the other hand, a perfect 8-0 unbeaten record in conference play. They're feeling good about themselves and they're playing some of their best basketball. We thank you for joining us courtside. Jalen Pender, Trishelle Kamani, David Holby on hand. Well, Jalen, let's set the scene. Georgia Southern, a 4-game losing streak. Meanwhile, Marshall, again, playing some of their best basketball. What do you want to see from both sides?
You want to see both teams just come over here and execute. You can't come in with the expectation that you're going to win or that you're going to lose, because they're on two different parts right now. You have to go out there and play your game plan 1-0 each week.
And Georgia Southern does get the home court advantage playing in Hanner Fieldhouse. And Marshall has had some struggles on the road throughout this season. But what they haven't struggled to do is put the ball in the net, because they're leading the Sun Belt Conference in points per game. And Georgia Southern not only leads the conference, but leads the country in rebounds per game.
And it's going to be key for Marshall to keep the Eagles off that offensive glass here tonight if they want to keep this game close, because we know Marshall can score. And stopping Georgia Southern is going to be the key to victory.
And Marshall does not have the most height on their team. Their leading rebounder just 5'4". This series between Georgia Southern and Marshall dates all the way back to 1985. The Eagles do have the edge at 10-8 lead, and they've also won their last 2 games. For more on this matchup, we'll send it to the third member of our team, Trishelle Kamani.
You've already mentioned it. Marshall is ranked #1 in the Sun Belt Conference, and the Eagles are on a 4-game losing streak, but that doesn't mean anything because Marshall needs to come out this afternoon to dominate. Head coach of the Herd, Caldwell, she stated that she wants her team to emphasize on rebounding due to the Eagles being #1 in NCAA in rebounding. So this matchup is going to be a big matchup in Hanner Fieldhouse.
Yes, it is, Trishelle. We cannot wait. Just seconds away from tip-off. Georgia Southern and Marshall. There's your first look at head coach Kim Caldwell for the Thundering Herd. This is just her first season with the program, and Jalen, she's making just about as much noise as you can. 8-0, I don't know how you coach any better.
Well, she's no stranger to winning big-time basketball games. A national champion at the Division II level in 2022, and carrying that same success over from Division II right here to Division I at Marshall.
And Kim Caldwell coached over at Glenville State, the D2 level, as you mentioned. 191-24 record, Jalen. And starting this season 14-5, and then you play perfect in conference play so far. Thundering Herd fans have to be excited about the future. She's on a 7-year deal. And Georgia Southern has a pretty good head coach of their own in Anita Howard. 4th longest tenured coach in Georgia Southern women's basketball history. Here we go. Eden Johnson tips it out to Abby Beeman. She's in pretty good company, Jalen, because the only other player to have 2,000 points, 750 assists, and 600 boards, well, Caitlin Clark, the best basketball player right now in the country, in my book at least, and enough can't be said about the way Abby Beeman has just continued to grind day in and day out. And Coach Caldwell said Beeman standing just at 5'4", leading the team in rebounds. That shows you and tells you something about her character and really how feisty she is.
Yeah, she's the definition of heart over height when it comes to the game of basketball, because to be 5'4" and averaging 6 rebounds a game at the Division I level at that is impressive.
Well, she's pretty athletic, too. She was an all-state track runner in high school, so that clearly carried over. And when you run a full-court press and run up and down the floor, well, that's going to pay dividends. There's been no shortage of offense in this game. Marshall hung 28 in the first quarter, the Eagles with 19. But how about this for Marshall, because you have 2 sisters on the team, and Aislinn and Alicia Hayes, and they also had another sister, Anastasia Hayes, who played at Mississippi State. So all 3 were together with the Bulldogs. Alicia Hayes and Aislinn Hayes. Aislinn Hayes got more minutes, Jalen. 3 rebounds a game, 8 points, 32 games played. But Alicia Hayes and Aislinn Hayes coming over to Marshall. Both of them have been able to pitch in. Obviously, Hayes getting more of the offensive production with almost 14 points a game and 5 boards. But what a cool story to be able to have your sibling play with you. As there's one of the Hayes sisters right there.
Coach, you currently have 3 players with over 10 points They all four of them have 12 points right now. How do you want to continue that offense and defense in the second half of the game?
Our offense is really good right now, but as I know, with this team, it comes and goes. So we got to fix a lot of stuff on the defensive end coming out in the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trishelle. Thank you, Coach Caldwell. It has been a barrage of threes in this first half, Jalen. 12 of 18 from downtown, shooting 50% from the field. When it rains, it pours, and the Thundering Herd have created a storm in Hanner. We'll be back after the break on ESPN+. This broadcast is brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did. Rolling Monkey, create to inspire. And Cercheros, fresh every day. Well, Georgia Southern is going to get a fresh new convocation center. The Jack and Ruth Ann Hill Convocation Center being built in Statesboro, Georgia right now. So this is the last full season in Hanner Fieldhouse for the Eagles. Some exciting things to come, Jalen.
Yeah, it's going to be remarkable to see a few more jerseys go up in the rafters here in Hanner in the coming weeks. But again, everybody's looking forward to playing inside the Convocation Center.
The Eagles hoping they can make a couple more memories in Hanner before they make their way to the Convocation Center next season. We're going to talk halftime stats and more after the break on ESPN+. This broadcast is brought to you by the Saucy Shrimp, the whole 9 yards, Zaxby's, indescribably good, and Morris Bank. It pays to bank blue. A couple of shots at Hanner Fieldhouse. We already mentioned the Convocation Center that's being built for next season for Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's going to have to adjust now. Well, our friend James Rowe, the producer, decided to have a little fun with us and created a bracketology graphic. So, Jalen, what I need you to do is figure out who these two teams are. You have a strength of schedule, RPI, conference wins, and record versus top 25. What do you think?
Okay, I'm thinking the A conference wins got to be Marshall, and the other team I'm going to go LSU.
LSU. Okay, that's exactly what I thought. So now James Rowe is going to show us exactly who it is. James. Well, there we go. It's Marshall and Iowa, so not LSU, which is exactly what both of us thought. And how about that? We already had the Abby Beeman and Caitlin Clark comparison. Here's what's fun about this, folks. This is the projected 15 and 2 seed matchup, according to Charlie Cream, and that would be a really fun show to watch with Beeman and Clark. It's 60th in RPI, 98th in net rankings, but they do have some quality wins against Florida and James Madison.
Yeah, that win against Florida, their first Power 5 win since, I believe, 2016 was a big one for them on the road to be able to go out there and knock down a Florida squad that hasn't lived up to the expectations so far this season, but they're still a really talented team.
Oh, absolutely. And 14-5, your first season as head coach for Kim Caldwell, you got to be pleased. Jalen, this first half, we've talked about the three-point barrage.